Welcome, everyone, to the second episode of the Eastchester School District podcast. On this episode, we sit down with our two wonderful elementary school principals, Annette Keane, the principal of Anne Hutchinson Elementary School, and Joanna Napolitano, the principal of Greenvale Elementary School.
I'm Joanna Napolitano. I'm the principal of Greenvale School here in Eastchester.
My name is Annette Keane. I'm the principal of Anne Hutchinson School.
We were able to speak about some very important new programs and developments introduced at the elementary school level this year. We began discussing the new reading and literacy program that have now been implemented at both schools.
So we're really excited about the new reading program across the elementary schools. There are a couple of different components. I'll speak first to phonics or word study, which is kind of the foundational piece. K to 3, we're using the Foundations program. So when you visit our classrooms, you would see a lot of explicit instruction around letters, sounds, phonemic awareness, and spelling as well. And in the third grade, they focus on cursive handwriting as well. Maybe, Joanna, you want to talk a little bit more about reading workshop?
This year, we're excited to incorporate the units of study in reading as our primary program for comprehension and fluency within our students. Leading up to the choice of the new programs that make up our reading program and here in Eastchester, a literacy committee came together and we did a lot of work and a lot of study about best practices and research around how children learn how to read. And we utilized Scarborough's reading rope to guide our decision-making process in what programs would best fit each strand. We know that children learn how to read through a variety of ways, and that phonemic awareness, phonics, as well as reading comprehension and fluency are all important parts of that. We address the phonics and the phonemic awareness through Foundations and also Hegarty, but we're addressing our comprehension and fluency through Reader's Workshop. Children have the opportunity to watch teachers model strategies and then take the work into books that are appropriate for them. Gone are the days where children are reading one story regardless of the level that they're on. Children have the opportunity for choice in what they're reading, and teachers guide them to the appropriate levels, both instructionally and independently, to expand their comprehension of what they're reading as well as their fluency, which we know is another important aspect of how children understand what they're reading. So we're really excited to put all of those programs together. And I think it's important to point out that these programs all point to our teachers as the expert. We're not using a canned program that are telling our teachers what to do. Our teachers are involved in the decision-making process about what their students need and how best to meet their needs. So I think it's really important to see that shift in the way that we're teaching reading, that our teachers truly are the experts and use all the data and these programs to help craft the best program for each child.
That's a huge part of learning to read, to have choice in the text that you are reading independently and to be able to pursue topics and fiction that speaks to you.
It sets you up as a lifelong reader. I had an experience as a child too, where we were all forced to read the same story, and if there is that lack of interest, there's a lack of motivation to do the reading, and that leads to a lack of progress. So, having children involved in choosing what they're reading with the teacher as a guide, letting them know what's the appropriate level of book they should be reading. We're already seeing just unbelievable returns in this investment that we've made. I think Annette and I find it so exciting to go into classrooms and you see children, on the carpet, sitting on pillows at their desk, really engaged in the text that they have chosen. And I think we're going to see tremendous returns on all that we've done just in this first year. Another critical piece of what we've done is libraries for every classroom, K through 5, with 500 to 700 new books. And the kids are just so excited to get their hands on them, bring them home, share them with their families, share them with each other. It's a really exciting time here in the elementary school. I think the big game changer that people see is, in more traditional programs with a basal reader, it is pretty much a center lane. with, a sprinkling of enrichment for some children and a sprinkling of support for other children. I think the beauty of what we're doing now is that the program can look different for every single child because we're meeting the needs of the individual child. Gone are the days where we're driving down the middle lane and that's the needs that we meet and we look to the outside to support, those outliers. Now every child we're looking at as an individual, and because the texts are leveled specifically for them and they have choice in it, we're able to meet their specific needs. And I think that, this is where you do get those returns on the investment in reading because it's not a one size fits all. We recognize that two accelerated readers in a room are accelerated for different reasons, and their enrichment can look very different. As well as, the struggling reader, those two struggling readers may need different support in different ways as well. There are many different ways to struggle with reading, and there's many different ways to be accelerated with reading. So I think that this program identifies that every child is an individual reader, and it is the teacher who's making decisions about how to best support them in the areas of need and as well as push them in areas of success.
This new literacy program is clearly no small feat to have been implemented. When a new program at this scale is implemented, from the Board of Education to members of the community, how is everyone able to be on board with the introduction to such a large-scale initiative?
I would just emphasize that it has been a heavy lift. I think all around it was a huge shift and an important shift. So I think the teachers have done a tremendous job of essentially learning two different aspects of the reading program and implementing them in 1 year. So the phonics, vocabulary, and spelling piece is brand new, and they've learned that and implemented it with fidelity, which is really important when you're talking about the explicit, technical aspects of teaching reading. And then the units of study are really around like the fluency and comprehension, but it's a different program that supports those aspects of the literacy program. So they had to learn that as well. And so we give them a lot of credit for being open and understanding the need for the shift, and then for like really engaging with our literacy coach, 2 to 5, Maria Elena Barbudo is amazing, as well as like the consultants that we have engaged with around reading workshop and foundations. And the district as well, for such a heavy lift and a big shift, requires a lot of funding. Right. And so I think the Dr. Valenti and the Board of Education have been very supportive because we can't make this shift without a ton of books, brand new classroom libraries. We still need more, and everybody has been very supportive of that effort. So it's really, we're in a really good place because of the team aspect to the initiative. I truly believe, in Eastchester and in my former schools and districts, I believe that the power of this program, that families understand it through their interactions with their child at home. So I would predict, just from, speaking to my students at Anne Hutch, that they are more motivated to read outside of school, that they have, an increased motivation to talk about books and books that they're interested in, whether it's with their siblings or their friends. And I think families do see that. There are, I think, a group of stakeholders, including families, that the technical aspects of reading and the foundational pieces, the phonics, the correct spelling, that those things are very important. But our program reflects that. We obviously think that is incredibly important too. That's the most like whole group kind of lockstep piece of our program. And I think, we have covered all the areas of reading very thoroughly, and it's very comprehensive. So I think it's hard to take issue with.
Upon hearing how passionate they both are about this new literacy program, I asked them to comment on how this new reading and literacy program aims to combat against a perceived imbalance of people looking at digital content opposed to reading a book. In other words, how does this new program help elementary students engage more in reading as opposed to watching something digitally?
So I think something that's been is a cornerstone of the units of study, and as well something that's very important to Dr. Keane and I, is books in hand. There's plenty of opportunities for children to read online. We have offerings of programs through the library, as well as that they can use in the classroom on their class link that allows students to read online. But I think one very important aspect that we support is books in hand. Children having the text, holding the book, that piece of it, that physical part of reading, finding that comfortable nook to curl up with a good book is an often forgot about part of it, but a very important part of it. It may look different as they grow older. They may do that with an iPad or not, but that experience of having a book in hand is really important. How to, from the earliest stages before they even come to kindergarten, the direction of print, how to open a book, how to hold a book. Those are important things that start when they're very little, in the rocking chair with mom or grandma, dad, reading that book at bedtime. That translates as they grow older. So having the actual physical book is something that's very important that we feel very strongly about.
We were then able to discuss another new initiative introduced in the elementary schools this year. It is titled departmentalization.
Another awesome initiative is 5th grade departmentalization at Anne Hutch and Greenvale. And it's off to a great start. So the teachers were able to really orient the students at the beginning of the year to understand why departmentalization is important, and specifically what skills we're trying to develop in order to prepare them better for their middle school experience. So we've found that the idea of meeting with multiple teachers for different subjects, being able to adapt to different teaching styles and expectations, as well as like the simple executive functioning part of it in terms of being able to organize yourself, your assignments, as well as your materials. We've found that the children have responded really well to that and have kind of increasingly demonstrated great independence, which we're excited about. Kristen Kumar, my assistant principal at Anne Hutch, is the point person for departmentalization across the district. And she's developing a little survey to capture information from our students about how they feel that it's going and if it's making an impact on their preparation for middle school. And she'll also be surveying the teachers and the families, just so we can look at it from a data aspect and fully understand the impact that the program's having. When I go to meetings over in the middle school, the graduates would come talk to me, and they love, usually by the time I run into them, they love middle school. Like, that's undeniable. But they will speak openly about it being a challenge, especially at the beginning. And so we felt it was something that we would have to try. Yeah. In order to better support them, and informal feedback from parents as well. They always get their legs under them eventually and end up doing an amazing job, but it's just, how we could better prepare them was something we wanted to really think about and play around with.
Something that goes hand in hand with this, Eastchester is a very unique community with our school structure, having one K-1 building, but then the students going their separate ways for 4 years off to Anne Hutch and Greenvale, and then coming back together at the middle school. So something that we feel goes hand in hand with that departmentalization piece and that, learning the new skills that they're going to need for middle school is also bringing the students back together. So we're really proud of the programming that our PTA has put together, where we're doing a lot more joint activities with Greenvale and Anne Hutch, especially amongst the 5th graders. One culminating trip coming up in the spring will be they will be all going to medieval times together and celebrating the end of 5th grade together. It's that idea that we're coming back to one community, and while you've had different elementary school experiences, you'll be coming back together as one middle school, and you will be now with these friends, these peers, straight through the end of your high school career. So we're excited to have these joint events that allow them to reignite friendships that they may have had at Waverly, and also, friendships that exist outside of school on the sports field and extracurricular activities that they may participate in. So it's really nice to bring them back together and have these events where they can participate and have fun. Our fall festival and trunk or treat was a huge school-wide events that were brought together. It was a huge success. And I think, Annette and I really enjoyed seeing all of our students seeing each other again, and the hugs and the, and parents interacting. Oh, we haven't seen you in a while. It was a wonderful experience, and we're excited to do more of those this year. But I think it's just another piece to help our fifth graders transition and be ready for what's ahead in middle school, because there is a shift and they are growing up.
On our last topic that we discussed, the new playgrounds at each elementary school this year.
The past 2 years, we've really taken a look at what the equipment that children have to play on during recess, as well as, on the weekends. The playgrounds are open for the community to use. And we saw a real breakdown in the conditions. Our playgrounds are certified each year, and every year, another piece would have to be removed or, was not accessible to students. But now with our brand new, really beautiful playgrounds, each one unique, our students will, have a fresh new playground space to get out on. They are all developmentally appropriate, and our PE teachers will be working with the students to show them how to appropriately use the equipment. Slides are for going down, not going up kind of thing. But they're beautiful, and we're very appreciative to the district and to the board for supporting this initiative.
It is amazing. We had a great committee that went over the plans, and I think we did a great job meeting the needs of, second through fifth graders, as well as our special education population. And so far, they've been really enjoying it. And I expect that the community enjoys it as well over the weekend, because I know Anne Hutch is a pretty active spot.
Well, that wraps up a fantastic episode featuring both principals from our elementary schools, Annette Keane from Anne Hutchinson Elementary School and Joanna Napolitano from Greenvale Elementary School. Thank you all for listening, and we can't wait for you to join us on the next episode.